Episode 2. That was fast. I feel like it's been about 30 seconds. This one starts with an educational slideshow narrated by someone we're pretending is definitely not future Armin, even though Jesse James Grell is whispering sweetly into all of our ears. According to them, Titans first appeared 100 years ago, and the people left living inside the walls are the only ones still existing at all. We also get the names of the walls. The outer one is Maria, like we talked about last time, the middle one is Rose, and the innermost one is called Sina. Maybe Wall Rose is where the garrison symbol with the roses came from. The episode proper starts with us following a wall cultist around while he preaches from a book with what looks like some sort of a whip in his hand. He's talking about how the hubris of man has brought divine punishment in man-eating form, how greed is a serpent that suffocates all who seek to feed it, how the wages of sin is death, blah blah blah. We know this one, we've read it before. I've got to be honest, he keeps saying things like God and the Lord, and I'm pretty confused by that. I thought the walls were God, and the walls all have women's names. If anything, I'd think the Titans were gods. Like, if I were a cultist, I'd be worshipping the giant beings that aren't born and don't die with the strength of 1,000 men in each arm. As a doomsday sort of thing. Maybe it's a translation thing, or maybe this world just has Christianity, I don't know. I don't think it matters. The cultist gets eaten by this friendly-looking comrade, and his book falls into a puddle of blood. Meanwhile, Hannes is still booking it with both the kids. Aaron blames him for the death of his mother, and he keeps attacking and biting and shit.
Damn it, stop!
So Hannes throws him, overhand, to the ground, and tells him he sucks because he's a child. You can't save the world, Aaron, you're 10 years old. Aaron, of course, doesn't like that. But there's not really much he can do against this grown adult man because, well, he's right. So they cry it out and head for the boats, which operate on some kind of cable pulley system. They don't seem to have combustion engines here. No steam power, which might be because there's just no coal within the walls, or even that they forgot how to use it. Or maybe, in this world, they never had anything like it at all. But none of that matters, because while they're on their way to the boats, Mikasa has a flashback to something. She seems to be in pain for a second, like a headache, and we see two people in puddles of blood, a man and a woman, probably her parents. Maybe that's why she lived with the Jaegers, her parents died, or they were killed. There's only one way in and out of outlier districts like Shiganshina, so people are getting a little bit nervous. Armin, Aaron, and Mikasa make it out, along with Armin's grandfather, but a lot of their neighbors aren't quite so lucky. At the gate, a group of garrison soldiers are shooting at Titans with ground-level cannons. Remember, these people have never seen Titans up close before. They were trained inside the walls and stationed on top of them. There's usually at least a 30-meter gap between them and the enemy, so they're scared as fuck, and I would be too.
With my paranoia, I need this abuse.
The city is nowhere near fully evacuated, but the Titans are closing in on the gate. Faced with an awful decision, the garrison decides to shut off the exit. If the Titans make it through, the entirety of the world that remains between Wall Maria and Wall Rose will be compromised. They're counting the cost, and continued access to that land weighs more than Shiganshina. And that sucks, and it hurts. But this is a world where feelings can't get in the way of what has to be done. You can't pay back obligation with love. You need to act. You need to fight. They're in the middle of closing the gate when another weird-looking Titan shows up. It's kind of in full American football gear, like it's dressed for the gridiron. His eyes are also yellow and glowing, which we've never seen before. Honestly, it makes him look cool as hell when he smashes through the gate and compromises all that land we were trying to save. Almost makes me want to think it was worth it. But thousands of people die, so it's not. The entirety of Wall Maria's population has to cram itself somehow behind Wall Rose, which is exponentially smaller since, 3 concentric circles, and the politicians there are calling refugees plague rats, and it's only a matter of time before they start getting accused of taking jobs or looking at my wife. And there's a famine too, so everyone's starving, and the comrades just keep wandering in. And while Aaron and Mikasa are on this boat, some kid nearby says they're standing at the gates of hell, which implies the existence of the idea of hell, which implies that in this world, there was also that time when the hottest archangel, Michael's brother, formed a union with a bunch of his workers, and God got all mad and sent his favorite son, Michael, the warrior of heaven, to banish them all to the underworld? Which, good business decision. Made for some really great Renaissance paintings. Terrible way to run your household. Anyway, so Aaron swears revenge, right, against all Titans on the memory of his mother. And he's like, I'm gonna kill them all, because that's how the world works. You can kill all the bad ones until there are only good ones like us. This type of rhetoric has never led to any grand-scale atrocities or international war crimes tribunals. Hopefully this isn't set up for some kind of fundamental character flaw for which the only possible end is tragedy. We see Grisha Jaeger driving a carriage somewhere between Walls Sina and Rose. He's heard about what happened, but has has no idea his wife was consumed. He loves his family, wants his children safe. Or does he? Who exactly is this man? In a very disturbing, dreamlike sequence, Grisha appears to inject Aaron with some kind of fluid while Aaron fights and begs him not to. The key to the basement under their house appears in the dream, over and over, and Grisha says, "It's the way to the truth."
It's the way to the truth!
Maybe the fluid is some kind of immunization from outside the walls. Maybe it's something Grisha made. Why he'd force it on his son, we don't know. It could be a bittering agent to make him unpalatable and therefore immune to Titans. It could be a microchip and now Aaron's all futuristic. Or maybe I'm way overthinking this thing. Maybe flu season is coming around and Grisha doesn't want Aaron catching the virus. When Aaron wakes up, he's in a refugee camp. The key to the basement is on a string around his neck.
Boy, I'm glad this worked out this way. You know, I could have been wasted.
People are hungry, so they stand in line to receive rations of stale, moldy bread. It sucks, they hate it. Annie Leonhardt is here. A garrison soldier scoffs at the sight of children getting food in a famine. Aaron immediately tries to fight him about it. Since he's a 10-year-old child and these are trained adult soldiers, he loses the fight within like 3 seconds. Armin runs over, all porcelain skin and baby blue eyes, and as soon as the soldiers look at him, they're like, well, we're not gonna win in a battle of optics. And everyone's watching, so you know what? Fine. Have your shitty bread. It's mostly sawdust and grass anyway. Which doesn't work. Aaron actually gets even more mad. He's like, I don't want your charity, stop pitying me, which is just a wild take for a starving child in an emergency apocalypse situation to have. It's not being latched to the udder of the welfare state, Aaron. It's the species providing for its members so they don't die on the altar of narcissistic, individualistic, everyman and island libertarianism. Eat your sawdust and calm the fuck down. Is he like this when his mom gives him dinner too? Carla puts a bowl of like cabbage soup in front of him and he's like, no mom, I don't want your handouts, you're just feeding me because you love me. That's a weakness I don't need. Mikasa punches him in the face and tells him they're all parasites, so he needs to calm down, which is basically what I was just saying. She also says a bunch of other stuff like that these 10-year-old children are cowards for running from giant man-eating monsters and that pride has no place where you want to survive, which of course calls to mind the Scouts. Maybe Mikasa shares Carla's feelings about the military, about it being a terrible machine that consumes the young and spits out the dead. Over the course of the next few weeks, the government puts the refugees from Wall Mario to work in the fields within Wall Rose. They try to use frozen wasteland for crops, which obviously no, that's not how it works. Reiner Brown and Bertold Hoover are there. Look at my little boy, he is adorable. Then, the government decides on doing a cull, and Armin's grandfather is counted among those who kick it. Aaron announces he's signing up for basic next year, and Mikasa's like, fine, because of the promise I made your mom. And Armin's like, well, I'm coming too, because we're the main trio, and I refuse to get stuck doing all the lame B-plots. So there's a time skip, and now they're at basic. Keith Shottis is here. I guess he's not commander of the scout regiment anymore. Maybe he aged out, or maybe that outburst he had with Moses' mom earned him a demotion to drill sergeant or something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. He's here, he's pissed, and he's making all these hopeful recruits shake in their little lambskin boots. In this panning shot, you can see almost everyone we're going to follow during the whole cadet training arc. There's Connie, Thomas, Armin, Marco, Mina Carolina, Emir, Jean, Annie, Aaron, and this looks like Bertolt, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. I don't know where Reiner is, which is weird because he's built like a Maytag safe as sunshine electric dryer, but we can all rest assured he is around here somewhere. Yeah, there he is. And his tall as fuck friend, too. So everyone's aged up, Bryce Papenbrook is allowed to be older now, and everyone's joining the military. Fear begets violence, begets pain, begets fear. It's a cycle, and another group of children have been swept up in it. At least now we get to see them use those cool flying rigs. Thanks for sticking around. See you next time.